How much hair?
Good day, everybody. This is the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Trading with a carpet and couch mess on the other end of the line here.
I didn't realize we were starting.
Yes, this is the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Trading number 139 on New Op Day, July 13th, 2015. And I think today we're going to cover the topic of covering your ass. Go ahead, John. What do you think about that?
Yes, your ass needs to be covered at all times. No one wants to see your stinky ass, so keep it covered. Well, welcome to the July 13th New Op Day hangout here. What number are we on, Paul? I always love to hear where we're at.
139.
139. 11 more is kind of a milestone, you know. Every 50 is a milestone to me. Anyway, yeah, I was talking about my pets there. I've got 3 pets, and it's unbelievable how much hair these effing animals shed in the summertime. Nothing to do with real estate. Just you jumped us in live here right in the middle of me blabbing about my carpets and my couch being vacuumed and cleaned and looking around this morning going, there's hair still everywhere. How does this happen? I think I need to give up the animals. So if anybody wants 2 cats or a dog, PropertyNoodlers@gmail.com. So with that, welcome, and I'd like to hear the direction you're going to take this thing, Paul. I had no clue coming on here this morning what we were going to be talking about. This is one of the reasons I love this hangout so much, is because it's whatever is on our mind in the morning we can speak of. And so
yeah.
What led you to covering your ass?
Yeah, well, you know, a situation came up over the weekend where a buyer on a property wanted to not use our contract and use their contract, which I immediately pretty much just said, no, ain't going to happen. You want our property, you sign our contract, period, bottom line, end of story. But you know what? The whole thing is this business, something that especially like new wholesalers, which we ran into this problem too early on, was, you know, some buyers out there will try to run roughshod over wholesalers because they know, especially, you know, if they get the impression that you are new and maybe don't know what you're doing, that, you know, you could very well be in a position of some sort of like desperation here, in that I got to get a seller and I got to get this thing sold. Oh my God, what if I get stuck with this? You know, and all that kind of sort of panicking going on right there. And some buyers will, you know, can smell the blood in the water, so to speak, because some buyers really are sharks and can and will try to run roughshod over you and, you know, say that you have to use their contracts, or, you know, want to change things, or this, that, and the other thing that, you know, can take away some of the protections that you have written into your own contracts and turn them around so that it's, you know, all on them and leaves you vulnerable. So the whole idea of covering your ass today is really sort of just talking about the fact that, you know, it's your property and it's your contract with the seller, and it's very important that you stay in control of all aspects of the transaction, and contracts are control, and just making sure that, you know, you are the one who's covered throughout this, because ultimately at the end of the day, should anything ever come back, it's your ass on the line. So that's why today's subject is covering your ass.
Well, speaking of covering your ass, I had to jump on because I got an email last night, I guess, with the contract that's not our contract that they want me to sign, and I see 2 issues with it already that would inhibit me from signing this contract. Number 1, it's not the contract that we sent to the buyer. Number 2, I don't like the fact that we're giving them consent to deal directly with the seller, and
yep,
that's not going to fly with me.
Nope, exactly.
I'm in control of my seller. Out.
Nope, exactly. And see, that's it right there. There's a perfect line right there. This guy's asking to be able to you know, contact the seller directly without us to possibly make changes to the original contract? Yeah, don't think so. No freaking way. We wrote that contract. We negotiated that contract with the seller, us purchasing the property from the seller. We are assigning this contract to this buyer who is actually another wholesaler who's going to be assigning it to another buyer. But for them to be able to step in beyond around us and speak to the seller to renegotiate terms, that is never going to happen. No way in blue blazes.
Over here. Yeah, just saying no change to the purchase comment without written consent of the buyer assignee. So he's actually asking that only he can write a consent to make changes to the contract. That is never going to happen in a million years. And that's where you've got to be careful, especially when you're new, that you understand contracts that you're signing. And when you're in control of a property, yes, you may be assigning it, but you have the relationship with that seller. You contracted that seller. Mm-hmm. You're the one that needs to have the relationship with the seller and the buyer and make sure that even though you're assigning your interest and you're stepping out of the way, really your job isn't done. Your job is to make sure that deal closes. Because if your buyer don't perform, you need to have a backup plan. You don't want to ever get the reputation for being a guy that doesn't close on properties he contracted. I think in the 3 years that we've been in business, there was 2 contracts that we did not perform on. The first one was one that we were very upfront with the lady who we contracted from that, hey, you owe $26,000 to the bank on a property that's worth probably $22,000, and we want a contract so we have the vested interest so we can market this property for you. So we were upfront. In fact, I should say we did perform because the buyer we showed to, we hooked her up. We showed it to a buyer who ended up purchasing the place. Paul and I didn't make a dime, but we actually and didn't close the contract. But because of us, the contract got closed. So you can't really count that one, which brings us to one, which was a property in Fountain Hills, and we had actually struck a deal with a guy that I think we're not really sure what happened. I would venture to say that the guy turned out to be a little bit of a scam artist. He was involved with our 2% club that we go to, and after he snaked this deal and did a couple of other shady things with other people, including myself, he kind of just disappeared off the face of the earth. So that was the only other deal maybe. But, you know, you learn lessons, and you should never contract a property at a price that you yourself would not pay for that property. Something's going on behind you out the door that's just throwing me off.
Oh, I guess Tim and Josh are out there. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, you just threw me off now with that.
I know. I apologize. I just see all this like activity in your shoulder.
So anyway, it's funny because all I can see over my shoulder is a bright light. I can't see anything out that door that's open. But yeah, that's just what John's saying there. The whole idea, the really key point to what he's saying there is the fact that you are the one who created a relationship with the seller. You are the one that your seller is depending on to perform on this contract. And you are the one that needs to remain in control of that and make sure that it happens as you put it together with your seller. If at any point in time something comes along that changes that perspective of the seller, for instance, if somebody's allowed to go around us and renegotiate something with the seller, and then all of a sudden it's something that later on they don't like, you started all this. The seller's not going to go to that person who came and renegotiated. They're coming after you, which is why you need to be in control of it every step of the way. You can't have somebody else going around and negotiating with your seller. That's between you and your seller. This is your deal. This is your contract, and no one else has any right or reason to be in contact with your seller. That's between you and them. Secondarily, another thing that I don't like about their assignment deal is that it's it doesn't necessarily sort of specifically go either way, but we're not selling a property here. Okay, when we're signing, we're not selling a property. We're selling a contract. Okay, and your assignment contract needs to read as such. You don't want your assignment contract reading that, purchasing the property at such and such a price or anything like that. No, they are purchasing your contract. And that's something that's never really been talked about before, but it's something kind of new that people in certain states around the country are looking at as to, what is your viability as a wholesaler to be out there doing these assignments. And the nitpicky little piece that they're talking about is that right there, in the fact that you aren't a licensed real estate agent and you can't be selling someone else's property, period. And so that could be getting you into some trouble. So you want to make sure that your contracts, your assignment contract pretty much outlines the fact that you're selling to this end buyer, or in this case to another wholesaler, that I'm assigning this contract. I'm not assigning a property, I'm assigning a contract. That's a huge key element that is something that people need to start becoming aware of and facilitating more and more.
Right. No, absolutely. We're not, we talk about the properties and, getting them ready to sell and selling properties, but in actuality, what we're truly doing here is we're contracting a property. So we own paper on that property and we're assigning that paper to somebody else. It's like trading on the stock market, really. You're trading stocks, you're trading paper certificates, you're trading, virtual rights to something. Well, that's all we're doing here. We have the right and an assigned agreement with a seller to purchase his property at X amount of dollars, and we're obligated to buy, and they're obligated to sell, and we're assigning our position in that contract. So when we assign something, and we get a fee, we're not getting a fee like a realtor gets a fee. We're getting a fee for assigning them the contract. Really, it's about the equitable interest in the property. So we're selling contracts. It is important to make that distinction because there's major changes sweeping across the country. We haven't really seen them here yet in Phoenix, though we have seen where in the past, if I had a wholesaler come in and bring me a buyer and he wanted to get paid out of escrow, we could pay him out of escrow with and submit a receipt to the title company, pay him for marketing fees or consulting fees. Well, guess what? You can no longer do that because the title companies won't do that anymore because they're being audited. No, what did they do? They marketed this property for sale, and they're not a licensed realtor. Therefore, you can't sell a property that you don't own unless you're a licensed salesperson. We're not selling property that we don't own. We are assigning our position. We have equitable interest. We're assigning our position. We're selling our position on the contract, not the physical property, because we don't own it. So yeah, it is important to understand what wholesaling, the concept of wholesaling means.
Yeah, another little sticky wicket that's coming down the wire too that may or may not be in your state. It's not here right now, and maybe it'll never show up. But another little deal is exactly what you just said: equitable interest. If you have a property under contract and you are allowing other wholesalers to market your property for you, one of the things that could be coming down the line too is that they better have equitable interest in your property in order to sell, in order to be marketing your property for you. This one is probably, quite possibly, never going to hit Arizona, but some of those states out there, I'm sure, that this will come into play. And so you want to make sure that if you're giving your property or giving your contract, let me rephrase that, if you're offering your contract to other wholesalers to market for you, you'd better be issuing, along with that, permission, so to speak, issuing them, some sort of a flex option that gives them an equitable interest in your contract that you have on that property so that they have that equitable interest and a legally binding right to be able to market that that document, that paper, that contract, because it's just, it's us against the world, baby, and the world don't like us. That's what it comes down to, okay? So they're trying to nitpick little bullshit ways on how to shut us down. And so you just need to stay abreast of what the new laws are and what's coming down the pike in your state, and make the necessary adjustments to stay within the the guidelines, so to speak, of the parameters of whatever these new BS laws that get passed that are really trying to shut people down from making money in this world. And you just have to be on top of your toes and watch that. So yeah, covering your ass starts from very beginning, from the minute you sign a contract with a seller, that you stay in control of every aspect of that contract from there all the way through to the closing. Key piece.
And keep in mind, you got to stick to your guns on this, because it's your ass on the line, and it's gonna piss some people off. I just got we've worked with people that it pisses, the way we do business pisses them off. They think we're too anal. They think we're too picky. At the end of the day, I don't give a flying fuck what other people think about the way I protect my business, my assets, and myself. You've got to take that out. Yes, you've got to take people's opinions with a grain of salt, but there's certain things that we don't bend on here at Sell a House Arizona, and that's the way we contract properties. We're flexible, but we're certainly not going to take it in the tailpipe to make somebody else happy and smile. It's just not going to happen. So you can't be afraid to stick to your guns in this business either. And as Paul kind of made mention, there's a lot of sharks. There's probably potentially more sharks than guys like Paul and I in the business. Quite frankly, Paul are kind of like dolphins or seahorses. We're kind of like the nicer, more open, honest guys in this business. And those type of people, the sharks come out of the woodwork to attempt to take advantage of who they view as a kind of a nice person that they can get one over on. And it's kind of great to be that nice person that knows the game and can spot the shark, so you can call them out. I love that. So like I said, that contract I just read, I feel like that's a little sneak in there that they want to be able to change the original purchase contract without even including us in the decision, or the seller in the decision for that matter. I don't even know where the guy got that line on there. So I won't sign that contract with that particular line, that the buyer/assignee can make changes to the original purchase agreement with written consent. You can't make changes to that. First of all, you got to check with the seller, and you never want to give up. You never, ever want to give up your position with your seller to any end buyer. There's a lot of sharks, and I can name names. It hasn't necessarily happened to us, but I've heard plenty of stories of getting tied up by the other guy that's in the same business you are, who's going to tie you up to the very end, let your contract expire, and then turn around and guess what? Go to that seller, badmouth you, get a contract on your property, contract that seller after yours expired, and then buy it from the seller and just cut you out. So you've got to actually, always have a non-refundable deposit. I always get $5,000 cash, non-refundable, on every single earnest deposit I open with everybody. I don't care if I've done 100 deals with you. People won't walk away from $5,000. People have walked away from $3,000 and less. People have done that, gave up their $3,000, turn around, go back to your seller after they expire your contract, and renegotiate that seller and make you look like an a-hole. Oh, they were trying to sell it to me the whole time, blah, blah, blah. There's guys, big guys, national guys, that have done that to wholesalers in the Valley, and to not stir waves, but keep in mind that stuff actually really does happen. And I've heard this from other newer wholesalers. Another thing is, like, you should always get 30 days on every contract. And if you do get a buyer in there, don't give them to the 30th last day to close that contract. you need time to recuperate or put together a side plan if they back out. So you should try to get them to close a couple days prior to. This is something that we actually probably should be a little bit more diligent on, but we've been very successful in getting all of our deals closed, except for the two that I mentioned in the beginning of this training. And Paul and I don't even know the number of deals. It's well over 50 deals by this point, I would imagine, in the last couple of years. I don't even know. Do you know how many deals we've done?
Probably more than, let's just say we're getting close to 100. I don't know exactly, but
we're somewhere between, I'd say, 50 and 100.
I'm going to venture to say 60 or more.
Okay.
I'm not quite 100% positive on that, but yeah, you know, don't ever let, you can't ever let, as a wholesaler, you cannot ever let a buyer try to call the shots on you. And one of the things John was just talking about there that will give you a little more confidence in not having to worry about that and not bending to that. And buyers they'll try to throw at you, hey, look, man, I got the money here. Okay. All you did was go, get this contract. I got the money here. I'm the one that's buying this. It's going to be my way. Bullshit. Okay. I'm the one that did all the freaking work here. All you're doing is bringing the damn money. All right. And there's plenty of people out there that have the money. And if you don't want it, I'll go find somebody else. And like John said, by having your contract with the buyer to close prior to your contract expiring, number one, when you get that first buyer on there, especially if it's somebody you've never worked with before, that doesn't mean you stop marketing the property. That doesn't mean you stop lining up backup buyers and have 2 or 3 people in place behind that buyer in case they try to pull some, or they just back out for whatever other reason, but in case they try to pull something on you as well too, you have the confidence that you can stand up to that buyer and say, hey man, look, this is the way it is. It's my contract. It's my way or the highway. And if you don't want this property my way, see ya. I got 3 people in line ready to buy it right behind you. So what do you want to do?
And it's true. We've actually, now that Paul's mentioned it, we had a buyer that agreed to a sales price. We assigned him the contract, and when he saw our spread, he wanted a $10,000 discount because he didn't think it was fair what we're making because, I'm the one that's taking all the risk and bringing the money and buying the property, yada, yada, that excuse. He happens to be a really nice guy, so, I was okay with, fine, dude, you can walk away from the deal. Don't know that we'll be bringing him any future deals because if he sees that we're making money, he's apparently not okay with it. And, and that's one thing. Never let these buyers tell you that, I'm the one taking, okay, they're taking a certain amount of risk. I agree. Their money's on the line. That's true. Okay. But don't let them make you think like you did nothing to go out and earn that deal. There are times when Paul and I send out 10 letters, we get a call, and we get a deal. But how did we find that person that we sent the letters to? That's a whole other system that we have in place. And we're not buying the tired old generic absentee owner list that you get from a title company or a pre-foreclosure list that you get from a title company. We're not using the tired old direct mail marketing campaigns to something you buy from List Source. That's what everybody's doing. We actually spend a lot of time to gather leads. That's our whole approach, is to gather leads. We have multiple sources that we get these leads from, but a lot of work goes into just getting the lead to us. And then how do you market? How do you sell? How do you attract? How do you talk to? How do you get to? How do you share your message? And, we have multiple drivers, guys that are on the phones. We have a back end. We have an office girl. Long story short, there's a lot of things that go into bringing a deal to fruition. Some deals come easier than other deals. If you look at it, the averages, there are deals we make 30 grand on. There's deals that we close Friday, we only made $1,600. There's another deal that if it closes, we're actually going to make negative $130 unless we can get a few things in place. So you deserve a home run. You deserve, for all your efforts, to get that once-in-a-while deal that you get to assign and make a $40,000 check off of. Don't let any buyer or anybody out there beat you up, tell you you're being greedy by marketing your properties at these numbers, and that, you know, as a wholesaler you should only be making $5,000, $10,000 a deal. You know what I say to that? Blah, screw you. You know, I make money because we're a wholesaling machine. We've got a system that we spent years putting together. We've got people out there in the field driving for us, looking for properties, doing research. We've got virtual assistant. We've got our own selves to pay. Deserve to make every possible penny off of every single real estate transaction, and don't let anybody tell you different. And the reason I bring this up is because, especially if you're new, you're going to have the sharks that are going to try to beat you up on what you're trying to do with these. Oh, you're just wholesaling it? You shouldn't be making more than $5,000 to $10,000 a deal. Bull crap on that. Total bullshit on that.
Yeah, exactly. And I had, the dude in California beat me up on that early on when, didn't have, and because you know what this really comes down to? Again, what's this all about that we talk about all the time? It's you, and this really all does come down to you and your confidence level, okay? If you're not confident in what you're doing, you're going to be vulnerable to getting beat up and taken advantage of, and that's just the way it is. So what better way to instill instant confidence than to surround yourself with a confident, established team, right? So, hey, anybody has a question, anybody brings something to you, anybody wants to maybe do something questionable, you bring it to your team, and your team is like, yeah, ain't gonna happen, dude. give me the phone. I'll call that guy right now, tell him how it is, and so you can build up your own abilities that way, because not everybody has the confidence in this. Like I said, that deal that I did out of the state, I got beat up by that guy, and basically started out with getting beat up on the price wasn't really the thing, but we ended up making a $15,000 assignment on that. We were looking to make about a $30,000 assignment on it. Then we negotiated price more than we did the assignment. But even at $15,000, the guy was whining and crying and complaining and bitching and moaning about the fact that I'm only wholesaling this property and I should only be making $2,000 or $3,000 off of this. I'm like, frick you, dude.
Don't yank a penis.
Because he's like, oh yeah, all the wholesalers I work with, yeah, they make $2,000 or $3,000 on their deals. Well, that's why they're losers.
I'm not going to cap my salary on a deal. I'm not going to contract a deal and go, yippee, I'm going to make $2,000 to $3,000 on this one. No, I'm going, yippee, let's break $20K on this freaking deal. And we have buyers now that purchase these properties, no problem with what we make whatsoever. You know why? Because at the end of the day, what are they getting? A property at the price they're willing to pay. So that's the bottom line. Interesting thing about the California guy is this guy is also a prime example of the backdoor snake shark, because he literally tried to go around us to the seller and make, if you remember, Paul, he had sent letters to the seller and in an attempt to make us look bad so that she would drop the deal with us and go with him.
No, absolutely. Not necessarily to make us look bad, but really just to somehow try to backdoor the deal out from under us. It was after I had marketed the deal out, already under contract, marketed it out, got a few people that had come in to look at the property. This person was one of them. Immediately went in, looked at the property, obviously went home, put a letter in the mail to the seller saying, hey, I see your property is vacant, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to buy it from you, this, that, and the other thing. You know what I mean? And it's just like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, like anything else, there's sharks in this business. And, I'm really picky about the people that I work close with in this business. And I feel that, over the last couple of years that Paul and I have been successful in really working only with people that do us right and kind of eliminating people that have really tried, try to be not totally upfront with us. And we've been very successful, actually, in our ability to attract the right kind of people to us, because we never really been hurt that bad by anybody. Though, I can think of a couple occasions dealing with some people over the past that really just left such a sour taste in my mouth about dealing with them that I won't deal with them again. And the funny thing is, whatever city you're in, whatever market you're in, there's established investors. There's guys that are out there already doing fix and flips, and you've got your established wholesalers that are out there that are legitimately wholesaling, not the majority of guys maybe onesie, twosie doing a handful of deals a year, but guys that are churning out regular deals, 10 plus a month in the market, I'd say, and it's a small community, really. So you better be careful about how you conduct yourself as well, because if you're doing shady crap and you're an a-hole or tough to deal with, people are going to find that out about you relatively quick. I mean, I'm surprised that of all, just Facebook alone and going to different networking groups and just seeing how just about everybody who is connected somehow, that are in real estate in Phoenix, some way, shape, or form or another, somebody knows somebody. I think there's probably, I know there's people I don't know, but the point I'm trying to make is it's a community, and it's a small world type of community where so-and-so knows so-and-so. So if you're out there being one of those people, you're going to get a reputation for yourself, and people aren't going to want to deal with you. So you got to be impeccable with your word. You got to be, in the right mindset and treat people properly and do business in a positive way that doesn't just benefit you, but benefits the people that you're doing business with.
And that pretty much goes with any and every business. I mean, it's all about, your integrity and your honor is what's going to take you places where you want to go. And that's why they have prisons and jails, is for the people who don't live by those rules. But anyway, with that, we're pretty much out of time here. So I'm going to say, don't be a plumber and cover your ass when it comes to wholesaling. And, universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire, which is to be in full control every step of the way.
Oh, no final thought for me. I kind of let it all out today. I used some dirty words too.
All right, everybody. See you on